Okay, great. You're live. Awesome. Well, it'll be pre-recorded for you. But hi, everyone. It's so great to have you here in the School of the Spirit mentoring group. This is week 1, and this is teaching 1. And I don't know if there's going to be another teaching this week, but we just need to go with it. But I'm so glad to have you here. And our first teaching is going to be about how we hear from God. How we hear from God. Some of you may know how you hear from God. Some of you may not know how you hear from God. Some of you know how to hear from God for yourselves, and some people don't. And that's okay. But in order to move forward in this class, it's going to be important to go over the different ways that we can hear from God. And before we get started, I just wanted to make everybody aware that I'm recording these teachings in my home, and I'm watching my kids at the same time, and there are cats, and there are, like sounds from video games and TV and things like that. So just be aware of that as we keep going through. Life is happening around us. So, so it's important to know the differences, ways that we can hear from God. He will speak to you through what you gave your attention to. So that's great. So you don't have to look for him in places where you wouldn't give your attention to, but don't limit yourself, because get curious. Ask the Lord for more. If you want to learn to hear from him in different ways, ask for more, and so just want to start with that. There, I'm going to go over, it looks like I'm adding 14 ways on how to hear from God. And I'm just going to go through them real quickly with you. And then as the course goes on, we'll pick out a couple and we'll go over those in more detail as it goes on. So first one is the internal voice. Well, internal voice for me has been a voice that is comforting, is kind. If there's any kind of like hints or nudges, it's usually done in a really kind, patient way, and it's very loving. That's the internal voice for me. And I want you to know that's probably the internal voice for you. It sounds like your voice. You think it might be coming from you, but it's God. And it's an internal voice would be a very soft-spoken voice and would not be coming in condemnation or guilt or pointing any fingers at you. I just think that that's important to say. Second one would be the external voice in your ear. The moment. the external voice of the Lord. As one of my mentors once said, external voice of the Lord. Okay, I've never heard it in that particular way, but there's an external voice. However, I have heard external voices outside external voices of like angels having discussions and stuff like that outside. But we're talking about God's voice. So, number 3, through others in your life. Okay, through others in your life, through conversations, through your spheres of influence, through the places you go, at your church. If you don't go to church, then maybe it's at the playground. It could be people that are, it could be believers, it couldn't be not believers. God uses all people. Your kids, your family members, your husband, your wife, your uncle, your aunt, your grandparents, whoever. And also through testimonies. Okay, so if you're online and you're part of all these certain kinds of groups, maybe it's through somebody in those groups, maybe it's through somebody who has a testimony to give. They're giving a testimony either by video or through a text, and that speaks to you, and that's God speaking to you through that. And it could just be something that just resonates with you. Your kids, I'm saying your kids again, don't exclude them. He may be speaking through your kids, okay? And this goes along with discernment, because as we're going through our journey, we're going to discern what is something we're going to be listening to and what we're not going to be listening to. And Holy Spirit helps us to discern what to listen to and what is not to listen to. And we'll go into that further in the group later on. That is definitely something to bring up. Number 4. Bible verses. I have opened up my Bible to random places and gotten a Bible verse. And that's, I'll open up my Bible randomly. It is random to me, but it's not random to the Lord. And I'll open it up, and that story, that section, that whatever verse I'm in, I'll come across something that speaks to me for the day, the week, the month, whatever it is that I'm going through. And that really resonates with me there. Number 5. Number 5, the natural world. In nature, if you see like an animal that maybe isn't usually in that area, or you're seeing an animal for the first time, or it's like an animal that's from that area, but you don't see a lot of them. Maybe it's like a field. Maybe it's like you're going to go see a new place in nature. Maybe it's on a trail. Maybe it's in the trees, whatever it is. Clouds. So like you look at the clouds, some of us look at the clouds. I look at the clouds, and I'll see what they're saying to me that day. There was one a couple of days ago where I was looking up in the sky, and I saw a convertible, kind of an old-time convertible with the top down, and somebody was sitting in it, and it was just cruising along through the clouds. So it could be like, maybe for you, it's a dinosaur, or maybe it's something else. Who knows? It's like whatever you're seeing. Number 6. On the road. When we're driving. So on the road when we're driving, somebody told me many years ago about license plates. And when they told me about license plates, I started to look at the license plates too. And they were totally speaking to me in what I was going through or had an answer on, but I didn't know how the Lord was going to speak me through. And I really felt like the Lord was speaking to me through these license plates. Billboards, ads, signs on the road. If you're taking a certain road map and you see signs on the road, I say, let's see, sides of trucks, sides of the trailer, meaning camping trailers. They have names on them. Something might jump out at you. Something out of the ordinary on the road. For example, some sort of like maybe a blanket on the side of the road. That happened to me once. Laundry basket in the median also happened to me. And a flip-flop in the side of the road also happened to me. And the flip-flops were good because I was going through a teaching about flipping it, flipping it from the negative to the positive. And these flip-flops were giving me like, it was like something I was going through that day. And I'm like, I saw the flip-flop and I was like, okay, flipping it from a negative to a positive. And that spoke to me. And that's something just what I needed at the time. And let's see what else. Number seven. Being out and about. Being in a place you maybe never been in, being at somebody's house, wherever it is. And then you just get that know that you know feeling that you're supposed to be there because you're seeing all these signs. We go back to signs again. But this is, again, signs in these places. And we're seeing them and they look familiar to us because maybe we've been given a word about it a couple of weeks ago from the Lord. Now it's being brought up again and it's really resonating with us. Now we're saying, we got to pay attention to that. And it's like, okay, Lord's really speaking to me. Especially if something comes up a couple of times during that week, it's the same kind of thing, or it's a couple of times during the day. Entertainment. Through movies and books and shows and music. The Lord, if you've heard, he sings over us in the Bible. Music is really good. Shows, maybe it's a theme and they're just, it's a theme that maybe they're, he's speaking to you through a theme in the show. Or it's like a conversation between characters or something. It may be, the lyrics of music, words in a book, and the different themes of movies. I know that when I watch a movie, I'm going through something and I watch a movie, it really resonates with me about some things that are going on in life. And then I start to realize that, the Lord was trying to speak to me about that like a couple weeks ago, and now it's being brought up again. And it's like, okay, I got to look at that. And we have to have a discussion, So, and it's good because it sparks those discussions. And then we start to ask the Lord questions about what's going on. Why are you showing me this? And this is when we go into relationship with the Lord and we really sit down and have a relationship conversation with him about things that are going on. And number nine. Art and drawing. Perhaps you guys have heard about prophetic art. Prophetic art is when someone, is asking the Lord for a drawing, or the Lord gives them a picture of something to draw or paint, and they draw or paint it, and it speaks to you in some way by just looking at it. Or when they share the story about it, it speaks to you. Or just art or drawing, might speak to you. Dreams, number 10, dreams. Okay, we're definitely going to do some sort of class on dreams. 10, dreams. The Lord speaks to us through dreams. Okay, sometimes they're warning dreams. Sometimes they're just things are coming up in your life. There's some things that you got to pay attention to or something, and dreams come up. And this is another way that God communicates to us in the secret place. And we're going to go more into that. But it's a way for you to then, again, relationally, in a relationship, ask the Lord, what does this mean? And then you have your one-on-one journaling time with the Lord. But we'll go more into that later. Woo, excuse me. A little burp there. Okay, now life happens, life happens. Okay, now this is number 11. Okay, number 11 is visions. Okay, open visions, closed visions, trances. He speaks to us through these things. We'll go more into that. Number 12 is prophetic songs. So I talked about music before, but now I'm talking about prophetic songs. And again, this is something that we'll talk about later. It's about songs that come from heaven, the songs that you're just singing out. They feel like they're coming from, where did that song come from? But it's actually coming from heaven. It's gonna, so it speaks to you, it speaks to others. Words of wisdom and words of knowledge. This also goes to through others in your life, because you may hear words of wisdom or knowledge through other people. Or maybe you'll hear of words of wisdom and knowledge through other people through like a video or a conference or a meeting or something that you're a part of online or in life. Number 13, feeling in the spirit. Feeling in the spirit. So we have senses, and we hear from the Lord through those senses to know what to do in a place, in an area, or wherever. And again, this is something I will go into later. And I had this other one, 14 podcasts and classes. Okay. We're seeking out knowledge. We want to know more. We want to go deeper. We want to know more about what the Lord is doing here. We have a certain subject matter that we want to learn more about with the Lord, whatever it might be. And the Lord can speak to us through podcasts and classes. Also, it's important to note that it does not have to be a faith-based movie, book, show, music, podcast, or class for the Lord to reach you. Okay? He can reach you through things that aren't necessarily faith-based. Okay? Also important to note. Okay. So that's going through 14 of how we hear from God. A nice quick rundown there, and we'll open that more up a little bit at a time. Okay? So I have a journaling assignment for you. Okay? Journaling assignment. I think it's important to have that time to just take what you're learning and just apply it. Okay, so this is what this journaling assignment is about. It's just taking what you've learned and applying it, and just intentionally doing it. Okay, so the first one is I want you guys to take two days. 2 days, okay? 2 days to recognize and notice how God is speaking to you, okay? You can push it to 3 days if you want, but the next, okay, so let's say 3 days to recognize and notice how God is speaking to you, 2 to 3 days, however long it takes you, okay, 2 to 3 days to just recognize and notice how God is speaking with you. If you want God to speak to you in a different way, you can also take this time to pray to the Lord and ask Him for different ways that He can share with you about how to hear from Him. Okay, but that is up to you, and that is between you and the Lord. And then after you have taken those 2 to 3 days to recognize how God is speaking to you, and noticing them. Number 2 assignment is to journal about it. Okay? You can get a notebook or journal or something and start just journaling for this class, because there may be assignments in the future. You might just want to write them down. Or you can voice memo record it someplace where you're going to refer to it later. And just, write down or record those things that you're recognizing how God is speaking to you. And then if in that time you want to have some devotional time with the Lord, feel free. Number 3. If you want to further discuss it with the group, you may. If you want to share it with us, feel free to do so in the comments below in this week. And I'm going to say this for future video people, because this will be up for months. And the hope is to have a community group that we can go to and be a part of as well. So if there is a community group at the time that somebody is watching this, then feel free to share it with the community group. Okay? But there's no pressure. I know in the beginning of my walk, I didn't really want to share it with anybody. Didn't really want to share how I could hear from God. But I also know that it can be helpful for other people. Maybe they're trying to recognize how God speaks to them. And when we share how God speaks to us, it can be helpful. But there's no pressure. That's up to you. Okay? So if you want to, share it in the comments below. And if we have a community group at that time that you're watching this, then post it in the community group. Okay? All right. Okay, so I like to close out with a prayer. Okay, I'm going to close out with a prayer. All right. Lord, we just come to you today and just ask that everybody who's watching this and everybody who's going to watch this even later and view this, that you just help them and guide them in what they are doing, and just helping to recognize how you're speaking to them, what you're speaking to them, and opening them up to different ways of how to speak and how you're speaking to them, if they're curious to do so. And then you're just guiding them along in this journey. I also pray, Lord, that I just want to decree and declare in ears to hear and eyes to see, in recognizing those places. And I just pray for blessings and healings for everyone here, and just as we keep going along, and that everybody just has a great week. In Jesus Christ's mighty name, amen. Okay. All right. So that is how we hear from God, week 1, teaching 1, and I'll see you in the next time we meet. Bye.